Take two. I promise you there is only going to be 2 videos today. Let me get everyone back. I hope you've all followed me over to the new one. Oh, I'll get there eventually, won't I? Alright, there we are. Let's mute this.
I promise.
Right, let's mute my laptop so we're not listening to me twice. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've lost Facebook now. Of course I have. Message just gone. Oh wait, there it is. Oh, what's happening today, everyone? We will get there eventually. It's kicked me out of Facebook now. Am I not supposed to do this today? I thought it was a really good recipe to share. Right, give me 1 second, guys. I am so sorry. Let's get Facebook back. I just had you and I lost you again. So whilst you're all joining me today, and I'm still trying to find you all, so I'm going to do my courgette fritters. You've seen the image. I've shared the recipe in case anyone wants to cook along. Super easy recipe today. And whilst we're cooking it, I'm going to just give you a few variations on how you can cook it as well. Because they shared the post yesterday asking you what you'd like us to cook. So I've read a few of the comments. There we are. I've read a few of the comments, and I know quite a few people were saying like sugar-free and oil-free recipes. Yay! I'm back. Right, I can see everyone. So I'm going to adapt this recipe just to suit some of those comments. And going forward, we'll pick out some of the things and we'll make them. So I love the idea. I think it was Anne that mentioned it yesterday. About doing pre and post workout snacks and meals. So for me personally, like, I've been running loads and I'm trying to get my fitness back up, so I'm definitely going to take that one on. And I might just put the feelers out and just see what you're thinking, whether it's savoury snacks or sweet snacks or a meal. Maybe we can explore it and do a few things, but I'm definitely open to doing that. So let me just see who's with me. So thank you for joining me and finding me again. So thank you, Paul. Hello. Hi, Sue. I'm Andy. I'm back from space, floating around. Oh, so could you hear me and everything was fine for you guys whilst I was using ManyCam? Will you just let me know? I think there's just a few things that I need to sort out, but we can still do this. You can still see me. I'll bring you closer while I'm doing stuff, and you can see what I'm doing. It's a really simple recipe today, so it's not technical. There's anything special that I need to show you, but we'll do it together and you'll be able to see me. So let's just check. So good morning, Michael. Hi, Mum. Thank you for joining me, George. Ooh, from Ottawa. I would love to come over to Canada. Hopefully once the world gets back to whatever it turned into, we can all start travelling and reconnecting, and it's going to be such a good time. So hi, Sarah. Oh yeah, you didn't know if you could join today. You're going to cook along? Yes. So it's really easy, Sarah, and I'm going to give you some oil-free options as well, because I know that you're really interested in cooking like that. Hi, Pam. Thank you for letting me know that you can see and hear me, and you're from Dublin. Thank you for joining us from Dublin today. So, hello Denise, I'm back again. Oh, I think I'm determined just to make as many videos as I can in one day. So yeah, thank you again, Paul. I know the notifications have been helping, so when things are going wrong, it's just going to give you that little ping to let you know that we're back. Protein bars, right, Justine. So we can figure out some protein bars. I know they did the protein cookies, I think it was. So it'll be very similar, but we'll explore some of those recipes. Definitely can make some protein bars. So you could hear and see me whilst I was doing that, right? So maybe I'm just going to have to figure out using something else. Maybe my laptop can't handle doing many cam and Facebook at one time. So I'll try that next week. We will get there. Yeah, we'll figure it out, won't we? As long as we can do it, like I said last week, as long as we can connect, as long as you can see what's going on, all is good, isn't it? And your positivity and your kindness just makes it all worthwhile. So, so it was a bit funny for some. Hi Lisa, thank you for joining us today. And Colleen, as always. Oh, thank you for sharing the recipe, Colleen. Thank you so much, because I haven't got my board. Thank you. I'll talk you through it anyway as I'm doing it, obviously, because you haven't got anything to read. But thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. So, hello, Can. Thank you for joining us today. Our hero ingredient. Oh, you won't see my. Shall I just show you my little picture then, because you won't be able to see it. Here is our hero ingredient today. Can you see it? We're going to be using it in our Tetziki sauce. I'll show you again if you need me to. Maya, thank you. So you could hear and see. So Justine, you're just interested in getting some snacks, right? We'll definitely do that. Kind of just showing, there you go, kind of know you can see it. So figure out what it is, let me know. And yeah, let's see some jokes today. So let me move this out of the way. So we're going to make our courgette fritters first. So Sarah and anybody else that's cooking along, you need to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit, gas mark 6. So whack the oven on now, let that heat up whilst we're prepping. You're going to need 2 courgettes, so medium-sized courgettes. So when it comes to the courgette, when it comes to the sweet corn, and in the tzatziki sauce I've got some cucumber and celery. So I've just put rough, as I've made it, I've just weighed what I had, and I've put those measurements are just a rough guideline. So when I say 2 courgettes, obviously it's going to be depending on the size, but if your courgettes are a little bit bigger, you're just going to add a little bit more gram flour, that's all. So you're just going to, I'll show you the texture once we make it, and then you're just going to adapt to it. So also, it will depend on how much moisture goes in, will depend on how much moisture we squeeze out. So you might squeeze yours, get yours a little bit dry, so you might need to add a little bit of liquid. I've not added any liquid to this recipe because I've not needed it. So we'll go along, I'll explain it as I'm doing it, and then we'll talk about any adaptations if we need it. Let me know any questions, and then we'll go with that. It's not a courgette, and you're right, Sue, it definitely doesn't need sunglasses today, but the sunglasses are a little bit of a clue, because we do not have the sunshine up here today, do we? Colleen, I knew you missed the rainbow, so I thought I have to pop it in there. Ah, it is a cucumber. You got it, yes. So yeah, just of course you can use different veg. This is just a basic recipe. We're going to add some flavours in. You can use different spices, different flavouring. It's just going to get that batter with a veg. Depending on what veg you need, you might just need to add some liquid into the mix. Because obviously there's some moisture that's going to be left in the courgette. But yeah, feel free to use whatever veg you want and whatever flavourings you want. So let's get going. So what we're going to do, I've got just a bowl that I'm going to squeeze the courgettes into, just so you can show you. I normally just do it over the sink, but rather than carrying you away, I've got a tea towel and I've got my 2 courgettes. So I'm just going to grate the courgettes directly onto the tea towel. There's no point popping them anywhere else. I'm just going to snip the ends off. So we've got a flat surface. So we've got a flat surface to grate. Just the normal grater, and just grate away. So all we're going to do the same when it comes to the cucumber. So I'll just keep the towel to one side rather than using 2. Just to squeeze out the excess liquid that we don't need. So grate your courgettes. I've already washed mine. So we don't need to peel them, we don't need to do anything. Yes, Sue, onions would be good in this, so it'd be more like a bit of a bhaji really. But same thing, a bhaji is kind of a fritter, isn't it? How finely sliced? So just a normal grater. So not, I don't know if you can see on this, just a normal grating size. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. But with the courgette, because it's quite soft, the corn's going to add some little pops of texture, but then the cooking style is going to bring the texture in. So obviously if you use something like an onion, you might have a bit more bite. So Denise, what could I use instead of corn? You could pop anything through, it depends what you're doing. You could throw some olives through. It doesn't need the corn, I've just added it for little pops of colour really. Some dried tomatoes. Hi Catherine, thank you for joining us. So Cam, we've got our first joke. What do you call 10 cucumbers in a line? If you know me, you know that jokes are wasted on me because most of them just go woo over my head. So we got one cucumber, no, it's not even a cucumber. Then I'm going to do like what you did yesterday when you couldn't say pistachio, you was adamant it was pumpkin. Well, courgette. Courgette, courgette, courgette. Yeah, so Colleen, yeah, it's very similar to a pakora or a bhaji. They're so simple, but because this is something that I would just throw together, and I do kind of make things like this, but I'll make it up as I go along. So when I made it last week, I decided to write it down so I could do it today. Because after I made the scones last week and then I made the afternoon tea, those kind of little savoury, snacky things are what I love to have. And obviously, without having processed foods in and instant snacks, these are just some really easy things that you can throw together. You can keep them in the fridge, you could freeze them if you wanted to, and they're there when you need them, and they're so easy, and they can go, the Tetziki sauce can be separate, it doesn't have to go with this dish. But I just thought this nice, easy recipe that's suitable for all of the family. You can adapt it with whatever veg and flavours and spices you want. And then we can cook it how we want to suit you as well. So I just thought it's a nice, easy one to share. So I didn't put, Catherine, I didn't put the weight of the courgettes, I've just done 2 medium courgettes. Yeah, I'm the same, Colleen, appetisers all day long. Skip dessert. Let's just have a look, these comments are going so fast now. Oh, what have I done, Paul? Oh no. Colleen, what's happened? Have I not shown something? Just roughly grated, Catherine. We're not worrying too much about it. So, roughly grated. Don't matter if you go fine or a bit coarser. Just grate it up. Let's just double check. Courgettes and zucchini. Yeah, courgettes and zucchini, same thing. Okay, we've gone to the next joke. I missed the answer to the last one. So grab the corners. So it's going to be quite full, this. It would help if you do it in the middle. I'm just going to shove those bits in there. And then we're just going to twist out as much moisture as we can. So like I said, this will, depend on how strong you are, you can get most of it out, but you know, if Jay did this rather than me. Obviously he's going to get more moisture out than me. If you are struggling and if you do it in the sink rather than a bowl, you can use the sink and just push it against the side of the sink. Because I know it's an awkward thing. I think for me as well, like I've got quite small hands, so I struggle to hold on to things sometimes. But we don't need to worry, we're just getting as much out as we can. No, so sorry, I've not done the cucumbers, this is just courgettes. Cucumbers are separate because we're going to do the fritters first and then we're going to go to the tzatziki, so they're separate. So let's do that. So let me just wipe my hands. So let's put this into a bowl. I'm going to keep, like I said, I'm going to keep this tea towel for the cucumber because we're going to do the same to the cucumber in a bit. So don't worry about a bit of courgette getting mixed in there. So let's just pop this out the way for now. So that's it, we've just got our courgette into our bowl. So obviously there's still, it's still a little bit of moisture, it's not totally dry. But like I said, if yours is a little bit drier, we just might add a little bit of moisture. So let me just pop this on the scale now. So with the sweet corn, I just poured some in the other day and measured how much it was. So roughly 75 grams, doesn't have to do 75 grams. 75 grams seems to be a nice mixture to get it distributed through where you can still see the corn, but it's not overbearing. So let's pour 75 grams in. I always end up, I get these big cans of corn, so there's 340 grams in this. So I obviously never use that all in one go, so I always tend to have an open can of sweet corn in the fridge. So it's something that I tend to throw in any random recipe that I can, but how beautiful is that with the colours? Just nice green and then golden little pieces of corn coming through. Let's just double check where we're up to. Do the same with the courgette muffin. Yeah, so yeah, it's fun. Obviously with courgette muffins, we're going to take the moisture out, so it's a nice, easy technique. So let's pop our spices in. I bought some chilies out because I might decorate with chili, but I'm not going to add any chili today. But if you were serving this with the tzatziki sauce, to get a bit of spice in it, perfect as well. So I'm going to add the flavouring before I add the flour. I tell you what, oh no, we'll add the fresh herbs at the end. I'll dice them up in a second. So let's go with half a teaspoon of garlic powder. So I opted for garlic powder because I'm not going to cook them for that long, so I don't want to end up with little bits of raw garlic in there. If you're going to deep fry these or cook them longer, then you could use fresh garlic if that's what you've got. But it's nice and easy just to use garlic powder. There are lots of people watching today. If you're new, oh right, great guys. So yeah, don't forget. Let us know if you're new, and don't forget if you are new, head over after the video. They might share the link, and make sure you join our community group too. So salt, I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon. Add as much or as little salt as you want, optional. Salt, pepper, any seasonings, always optional. So we've got salt. I'm going to add a tablespoon of flax. So I've already ground my flax. So when I use flax, we buy the whole seeds and we grind it when we need it, just so it's fresher and we're making sure we're getting the most out of it. So, a tablespoon of ground flax. So this might be a little bit coarser than what you might buy if you buy a bag of ground flax. But as long as those seeds are crushed open and we've ground it up, it's just going to add a little bit of, act as a little bit of a binder. So we don't need to make it into a flax egg. It's just as it's cooking, as it's sitting, it's going to draw some of the moisture out. Another trick as well, if you are struggling to squeeze the courgette, grate your courgette, pop it in a bowl, squeeze what you can. Squeeze out what you can, pop it in the bowl, and if you don't think it's enough, pop it in the bowl with some salt on and let that salt draw out the moisture, and then pop it in again and just give it a squeeze, and you might get rid of a bit more. You shouldn't have to, but I know it might just depend on what your grip's like and if you can do it. So we've done salt, flax, garlic. I'm going to add a little bit of dill, and I'm only adding dill because it's going to go with the tzatziki, and I've got dill in there, so I want it to match up. This isn't something that I just randomly add if it wasn't going with the sauce, with this dip that we're making. So we're going to do 1/4 teaspoon just to get those little green flecks going through. Black pepper is adding as much as you want, so I'm just going to do a couple of grinds of black pepper, so I'm not measuring this. Again, optional. So let's just mix this up, and then I will just chop my fresh herbs. So there's no right way to do this. Use a spoon, use a spatula, use whatever you've got. Just make sure that we've got no clumps of garlic powder. And it smells delicious already. So, that's nice and mixed. Let's just... These next few weeks, guys, as well, probably not next week, but maybe the week after, I'm actually moving house at the end of the month. So as I'm packing things down, I'm still going to do the videos, but as I'm packing things down, I might just have to do really simple recipes. But we'll go with the flow, as always. So, sorry, fresh herbs. I've just got some herbs growing on my windowsill, so I've just grabbed a handful of parsley and coriander. Pop whatever you want through this. If you haven't got fresh herbs, you can use dry herbs, you can use chilli, just to add a little bit of extra flavour. Just get some of those stalks. Why did the cucumber blush? Why? I want to know. I've missed all the jokes. So, fresh in, I'm going to keep an eye out. I love playing Ready, Steady, Cook. Oh, Nikki, I'm so excited for you, Nikki. Definitely check out Nikki's Ready, Steady, Cook videos as well. They're so fun. So, mixing your herbs. Chive and coriander. I don't know if they might battle with each other. I'd probably choose one over the other. Chive would be lovely in this, because coriander is quite a strong flavour, so I've got more parsley than what I've got coriander, but I just love coriander, so I'll pop it in quite a few things. Jay doesn't love coriander so much, but within this recipe he absolutely loves this. He loves these, so it's obviously not overpowering, because I know some people are quite sensitive to the taste of herbs. I used to be really sensitive to this. Anything that was herby, I didn't used to like it, but I guess the balance probably wasn't right. So we've got our ingredients in, and we're going to add in our, we've got some chickpea flour, so gluten-free option. If you are using plain flour, which you could do, it might not be the same measurement. So start with half, add it in, and then see where we need to go from there. So I'll tell you what, let's do this and then I'll show you, because this doesn't create a batter, it's just going to make this stick together. So we're going to go 50 grams of chickpea flour or gram flour, whatever you've got. And then we'll mix it together and then it's just going to become sticky. Before I mix it together, I'm going to pop the pan on. So, there we go. With the cooking, so what I have done with the cooking of this, I have just used the frying pan just to crisp up each side and then I'm going to bake it. But you are free to fully fry it, you'll just need to fry it for a longer time. You could deep fry them or you could just bake them. I've just done it with the frying pan because I want that browning to happen before they go in. So you're going to get like a crispy outside and then a nice and soft on the inside. They're not really firm fritters unless you're going to really bake them for a long time or deep fry them, which I don't want to do. So for this recipe I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my pan just to make them cook a bit faster. But if you've got a non-stick pan, Sarah, if you've got a non-stick pan, you do not need to add oil, or you could just bake them. Could I use an air fryer? I've never used an air fryer, Colleen, but I don't see why not. Give it a go, let me know. Air fryer should work really nice actually. Actually probably will go really crispy in an air fryer. Sorry guys, let me just double check where we're up to and make sure I'm not missing anything. Sage. Yeah, I guess you can put sage in whatever flavour that you like. We don't need to, there's no right or wrong. No right or wrong answers here, guys. It's just going with your flavour, your taste palette. Could I use an air fryer? Will you show how to bake them? Yeah, we're going to bake them anyway, Sarah. So I'm going to pop them in the frying pan first and then I'm going to bake them. So I'll show you what I'm doing. An even better way. So thank you for sharing our feed, for Paul. It's really helpful that you're just helping us get the message out there. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. You could make little tots out of this mix. Yeah, of course you could, Lisa. Perfect for things like that. So I've just made these into fritters just because it's easy, but you can make them into whatever size, shape you want, fry them, bake them. It's really adaptable, especially something like a courgette. So it's going to take on the flavour of what we've put in there. It's quite a neutral taste, but then depending on how you cook it, you're going to change the taste again. So I really like baked vegetables because I think you just get that sweetness. But it's totally up to you. So will be best baked on non-stick pan without oil. So I'm doing a bit of both, Sarah. So I'm going to do the non-stick pan and then I'm going to pop them on a baking tray on a greaseproof paper and bake for 20 minutes. So they're not going to be fully baked by the end of the video. I haven't got some to show you, so I'll pop them out and show you where they're up to. But if you're just going to bake them, you're going to need to do them a little bit longer than 20 minutes. I'd probably say 25, half an hour. But you'll have to just see how you go. So let's mix this together and I'll show you where we're up to. Alright, I'm supposed to be putting the pan on. That's what I was doing. So I'm just going to pop this on medium heat. So, sorry guys, let's go through your ears. Pop that on and then I'll pop some oil. So let me just mix this up and then I'm going to get my hands in here once we're mixed. So like I said, this isn't going to create a batter. I'll probably just call it in a batter whilst I'm talking about the recipe. But all this is going to do is make the veg stick together. So really mix it around. And this is such a Moorish recipe. So I hope you can see this, guys. So you can see how it just, I can press that down and it's just sticking together. There's no liquid around this. So if you've mixed the flour in and it's powdery rather than the courgette soaking up, the courgette and the gram flour creating just the stickiness, you're just going to I'd add like a tablespoon of water at a time to, so Sarah, add a tablespoon of water, give it a mix. You're obviously stronger than me, you can get the moisture out of the courgettes. We need to get those pre-post workouts in, snacks in, get those workouts in to get these muscles going. So Sarah, I'm just going to give you a second just to get your mixture in. I won't do anything until we carry on. Make sure your pan's on if you're going to do the non-stick pan first, so don't forget my oven's on. I'm going to add a tiny bit of oil. Let me just grab some kitchen roll just to wipe that round. So, because I don't want to fry them, I just want them to just brown up. Oh, great idea, Colleen. Of course you can use the juice we've squeezed out of the courgette. Perfect idea. Just make sure you're not adding too much. So I'm just going to give you a second, guys, whilst you just get your batter where it needs to be. Again, if you go too much, you're just going to sprinkle some flour in. Don't worry about it. So it's quite thick. I'll show you what we're going to do with one and then you can see the texture. So I've just got ice cream scoop, just a basic one, not a fancy one. But I'm just going to use this just to help me have a similar size. So you can see, it'll just hold its shape. So what we're going to do, we're going to scoop it up. Yeah, definitely, Sarah. Increase the flour and water. Your courgettes are probably bigger than mine, so just increase it until you've got the batter. Don't worry about any of the other ingredients. I'm just going to get to frying these, but don't worry, I'm not going to move on too fast. So I'm going to just pop it in the pan and just gently push it down. That's it. So scoop them out. My frying pan is very temperamental, even though it's a non-stick. That's why I still use a tiny bit of oil. I don't know if I've done something to the coating. So don't worry if you make these and if you turn them too soon, they're going to fall apart. So we need to give them a couple of minutes to make sure that bottom layer is browned up to create a strong enough surface for us to turn over. So I'm just going to squeeze 4 in here. So don't forget as well, depending on how thick you make them will determine how long they need to cook. So it's probably better to go smaller rather than bigger, but it doesn't matter if you like them bigger, just cook them for longer. Because like I said, these are going to be crispy on the outside but soft on the inside. So because we've still got some chickpea flour coming through this batter, we want to make sure we're cooking it all the way through. So we haven't got any raw ingredients, obviously, apart from the courgette, but that's fine, even if it's still got a bit of a bite. I'm just going to rinse my hands so I can just check these. Let's just pop that empty bits in there. I haven't got a proper spatula to turn, so you might just want to use whatever you've got to flip these over. I'm going to give them a little bit longer. I'm going to turn it down a second. So you should get about 8, maybe a bit more with depending on the size of the scoop, and obviously depending on how much of the mixture you've created. So yeah, that will determine how many you've got. I'm going to, sorry about all the clanking around, I hope you can see. I'm just going to rest this here, and then once we flip them over and cook them again, we're going to pop them straight onto the baking tray. And then I'll pop them in the oven and we'll make the sauce, we'll make the tzatziki, and then, like I said, I'll probably take these out a little bit sooner just to show you. Just to make sure they're not sticking too much. There we go. Turn it up a little bit more. So that first flip over is just the one where you've got to be a little bit more gentle. Don't worry if they fall apart, just split them into two and make smaller ones. What have I done with that little spoon? Let's have a look. So that's not done yet. I might have to swap pans, guys. Like I said, this is a little bit temperamental, this frying pan. I think the bottom layer is just sticking. When I flip them, guys, I'm going to put a little bit more oil on this. I might have to just do the smaller pan. We'll see what happens, won't we? Hey? Sarah, have you managed to figure out the batter? Let me know if you figured it out. So like I said, with this recipe, it's so easy just to adapt this. So if I wanted to, I tell you what, they're not going to bake the same. So I'll show you what they look like at the end, and then I'll post a picture on our community group of the difference between pan frying and then just baking. And I'll let you know exactly how long I bake them for. Let's do that. I've washed my pan before with, every time I use this non-stick pan, like I said, I have to use a little bit of oil, and then it creates like this really thick brown layer like it's doing now. It really sticks no matter what I do. So I've washed it today with bicarb and vinegar, and it really helps to get all the little bits off. But then maybe I needed to oil it a bit more. I don't know what's happening with it. So I've got 4, 5, so I've got 9 fritters out of this. Right, let's see if we can flip these without them sticking too much. It's not looking good. Tell you what, give me a second. Let's switch pans. Let's abort that. Actually, I want that on. Yeah, Catherine, 20 minutes after browning them off, at 200 degrees. got this pan that I use for flatbread and pancakes, so let's go with this. Let's heat it up. It's just a bit temperamental as well because it's not flat anymore. And it's not an enamel pan, it's one of the green pans. So they've got their own coating. But this is the only pan that does it. I've got quite a few of the pans, and then sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So of course it happens whilst I'm doing a video. But that doesn't matter, does it? This is what happens in cooking, you know. Sometimes the equipment we're using isn't the same. So it does change how you cook recipes. You know, I've followed recipes that I've seen online and I've made them, and it says like 30 minutes in the oven, and my oven, you know, if you haven't got an oven thermometer in, you might think you've got it at 180 or 200 degrees, and it's not. It could be higher, it could be lower, so my oven tends to be lower, so something that might take 30 minutes might take 40 minutes in my oven. But that's where your skills start to come into it. So the more you cook, the more you can kind of judge or read something and go, actually it's probably going to take a bit longer in mine. That's fine, we're going to adapt it. So let's see if it works on here. If this doesn't work, guys, I'm just going to shove those in the oven and we'll go with that, okay? Because life is too short to worry about some fritters. So you saw those fritters that I posted, you know, the picture of. I made them in this pan, this exact way, and this didn't happen, so we just roll with the flow. And we don't let that fall off on me. Let's try again with this. I've been wondering whether I should actually contact Green Pan and try to see what it is, because they're not. I did it to invest in them. Right. Let's keep that. So let me just give them a few minutes, guys. I'll pop this out of the way. Let's let it soak. So we'll try again. We don't need the oil anymore, do we? Yeah, that's what I thought, Day. And I've read a few reviews about green pans. So like my sauce pans, fantastic. I never use oil. You know, I make all sorts in them. But when it comes to frying, and I've had a few problems when it comes to pancakes. So it isn't just, I don't know why I don't just use this pan anyway. But yeah, we just roll with it, don't we? Oh, thanks, Sue. I definitely will. I'll get in touch, because when I've read it, like I've looked after it how I'm supposed to. I don't use any really abrasive scrubbing things on there, so we should. Maybe they can help me. There we go. This is better. I'm just going to wedge that under there, because like I said, this one, it's a bit wobbly, this one, so I have to be careful with it. That's better. So we're just going to do it just for a couple of minutes. I know it's been a while with this one now. Just to get that brown, just that brown inside, browning effect on one side, same on the other. Once this is done, we'll slide them on here and pop them into the oven. So it happens to yours too, Sarah. Oh. And as well, oh yes, Annie, don't stress out in the kitchen. I know it's frustrating when you're making something, and you know, don't get me wrong, I've done it before. I've stressed out when something's gone wrong, and it just takes the fun out of it. And also, whilst you're making it, just figure it out along the way. If something goes wrong, is it still edible? Yeah. Does it look as good as you want it to? No. Can we still eat it? Yeah. So we're okay. And the more you do it, you know, I say the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It was easy the first time and it's gone wrong the second time, but you know, the more we do it, we'll just figure stuff out. It might not be you, it might be something you're using. It could be a number of different things. But we're not getting angry over these things anymore. And this fritter is a very funny shape, but we're going to love it anyway. Okay? Let's turn that down. I'm going to move that in 1 second because that's really hot. So, let's show you because I know it's just just off camera. So we've got our pan fried ones and we've got some that we're going to bake. So at the end of the recipe when we've made the tzatziki, I'll pull these out and just show you. They'll probably need a little bit longer. These will definitely need longer, so I will post a picture of them after onto our community group and we will see how that goes. I'm going to pop them in, so I already know I've got my thermometer, so I know my oven's where it needs to be, and I'll pop the timer on once it's in. Sorry, one more thing. My oven's empty as always, there's nothing else in there. I'm going to put this a little bit higher than the middle, so just still the middle but just the next one up. So not too high, but as we know, heat rises, so I want it in the hottest part of the oven. So let's have a look. My previous house, the green pans work perfectly. Yeah, I'm stubborn too, Dave. Totally stubborn. And I think it's one of my best qualities. Because if we're not stubborn and we don't keep going, then we'll never get there, will we? See, Annie, edible. That's all that matters, as long as we can eat it at the end of the day. That's all that matters, isn't it? So, let me move all these things out of the way and we will... Oh, thank you, Denise. That's such a kind thing to say. I do think it's because my background's education and I've always worked with children who have special needs, and their spirit and their creativity has just always inspired me just to adapt to situations. We just roll with the flow. Don't get me wrong, I don't always do it, and of course sometimes I'll get upset and I'll lose my temper, but sometimes we just need to go, actually, we're just cooking. We're okay. We'll figure it out. And like I said, I'd only cry if I did it and I couldn't eat it because I want to eat what I'm doing. So yes, Sarah, pop it higher in the oven, 20 minutes. I'm presuming you've pan fried yours more successfully than me. 20 minutes and they should crisp up nicely, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with mine, but they'll crisp up nicely. Like I said, they're not going to be like solid. They're going to be a bit of movement in there, but you should have a nice crispy texture and a nice soft centre. So let's do our tzatziki sauce. So let's bring these round. Catherine, I am used to staying calm. Sometimes we don't have a choice. It's just something we have to do. And like with everything, the more we practice it, the easier it becomes. Take a few deep breaths, reevaluate, and carry on. So let's do this. So cucumber, did I say like 140 grams? I have not weighed this. I literally just chopped some of my cucumber off. So this is actually, you want roughly a quarter of a cucumber. So I don't actually think this is as much as I used last time. This is 109. So last time I used 140. I'm still just going to go with this. I'm not going to chop something else because I'm going to grate it. So about a quarter of a cucumber. It doesn't matter if it's less or more. You just want enough for that cucumber to go through. So if you've got less like I have now, I might put 5 tablespoons of yogurt in and mix it through, because I want that cucumber to be all the way through. I don't want it to be too yogurty, but then I also don't want it to be just too much cucumber. So adapt it as you go along. So we'll do that now. So I've got 109 grams today. Didn't need that yet. Let's do the same as what we did before. So let me pour this away. So So I've just poured the courgette water out of there. We're going to do the same. We're going to grate our cucumber. So same towel, we don't need to wash it again. Same grater, I've not washed it. If a bit of courgette gets in here, it does not matter. Oh, clean. I love that. Arrogant girl. Only got vanilla yogurt. I don't think that will work. I don't think it'll work either, Joss, if I'm honest, because you kind of don't want to flavour. So I just got natural yogurt, so the same yogurt that I've used. I can't remember what I used it for. So I get coconut yogurt would work, Greek yogurt would work, but anything that's not sweet, I would say. Oh, cumin. No, we've got to be Spice Girls then. It's my lifelong dream. Every 90s girl wanted to be a Spice Girl. I don't want to be a Herb Girl. So, cucumber is grated and we're going to do exactly the same. So obviously there's not as much, but there is more liquid in cucumber, but we don't need to worry too much if there's some left, there's some left. Let's go again. So we're just going to twist. Oh, don't splash yourself. So what can you get? Perfect, so you can get it without sugar, so that would be perfect. I mean, Dave, would you say no to vanilla yogurt? Because it's going to be sweet, isn't it? And I just think that flavour is just not going to, it's not going to match well. Anything unsweetened that you can get. If we need to, we'll have to look at making our own yogurt. I know someone mentioned Instant Pots. I don't know if it was on here. I think it was on one of the comments. I can't remember what the recipe was. But I've actually got an Instant Pot and I didn't even notice it had a yogurt setting on it. So maybe we could look at doing our own yogurt. I don't know. I've done it with Day. You showed us how to do it, didn't you, Day? But I've never personally done it myself. So we squeezed this out. I'm going to move this again. I'm just going to wipe my hands. Pop that in there, and we're going to make it into this. So your basics are going to be yogurt, cucumber, seasoning, sorry, a little bit of garlic if you want it, and some dill. I'm adding some celery in as a little bit of crunch. So I'm going to cut it up as small as I can. I'm flinging cucumber everywhere. Cut it up as small as I can, just for that little bit of extra texture to go through. Totally optional. Doesn't have to be in there if you don't have it. You can get rid of this now because we don't need that again. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So we're gonna have some lemon juice, so quarter, roughly, just a thin slice of lemon, about a teaspoon, if not a little bit less. So I'm just gonna squeeze this in here. Oh. I'm going to go with I'm going to add the dill in actually at the end. So we'll mix it in. I'm going to add the garlic in. No, we'll mix it in at the end. So let's chop our celery. We'll add that in. We'll mix it together. We'll add the yogurt and then we'll add the flavouring. So again, just a small stick of celery. You do not want too much, but again, if you want more, add more. Why am I going in there? I don't want to go in there. So I'm just we'll use that end. I'm just going to chop that off. Oh, Sarah, if you make it before me, share it on the community group. I'd love to know how it is. I love using my Instapot. My Instapot's like a rescue. It's got so many functions, and I really wanted to utilise it more than what I do really. But I'll use it because I don't tend to buy canned beans. I pre-soak mine and do that. So much easier in the Instant Pot. So much easier. You actually don't need to soak them. Sorry, I didn't tell you what I was doing then. So I've just sliced it into 3 strips, and then I'm just going to just cut them nice and small. I'm only using a small knife today. Nice and small. Roughly dice them. And we're going to mix it through. You can turn in the oven, Sarah, actually, I should have said that. Especially if you are using it on greaseproof paper, because that's just going to hold a little bit more moisture. But yeah, if you want to get that browning on both sides, if you're just baking, turn them in the oven. When I check the others, well, the ones that are pan fried, I'll turn the baked ones so we can show an even bake when I share the picture. And I didn't even set a timer off, did I? I'm going to do 10. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's move this. Pull them out. Show you where we're up to. And let's flip them. Let's have a look. So, let's flip those over. So they are a little bit browner on the other side. So the ones that we baked. I'm just trying to burn as well. Turn them. No, just cucumber, celery and lemon juice right now. Sorry, I'm flipping and flopping between different things, aren't I? As you notice, sometimes I'm a little bit like that. I like to do lots of things at once, which isn't the best for others sometimes. I'm sorry, I've missed every single punchline today. Every single one. And I know you're committed to these jokes. So you can see how much softer these baked ones are. But the other side had started to dried out, so this sticky side now should start to dry out. So I'm going to pop the timer on for 10 minutes, but once I've done the tzatziki, we'll pull those out and I'll show you how I served it, and then I'll show you the baked ones later. Pop these back in. There we go. Actually set a timer off, which we've done already. So let's try again. So cucumber, lemon and celery. I'm just going to separate my cucumber out now and mix the celery through. I'm glad that they're smelling good. They taste so nice. And we've got enough flavour in them to be by themselves in the fritters. And like I said, this is kind of 2 recipes in one, because you can mix and match what you put the dip with. You can serve the fritters with something. I served them in a Buddha bowl, made a Greek style Buddha bowl, and I use that term loosely. So let's go with yogurt. So I'll try and just mix it up. I'm going to go with 5 tablespoons, even though the recipe said 6. But I'm just going to go with 5 and see what I think, because I've got less cucumber. So So let's go 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop that there. And then we'll add our flavour through. Use your judgment and just decide on how thick you want it. So I actually am going to add that 6 tablespoons. Because maybe when I've made it, I add a little bit more celery this time. I didn't weigh it. Thanks Maya, thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you get to try the recipe, and really appreciate you being with us today. Really, really appreciate it. Sarah, I'm a little bit the same. I make a dal in my Instant Pot because it's so quick. A few curries. I might have done a stew, just like a vegetable and bean stew, but I do not utilise it as much as I should. So I'm actually happy with this. I'm going to add our flavour in. So let's go with, again, as much or as little as you want. I know we have some garlic fiends in our feed, me being one of them, so I'm going to go garlic again. So 1/4 teaspoon of garlic. Again, when you're making sauces, it's so much easier to use powders rather than the fresh ingredient, but use what you've got. We whack raw garlic through our hummus. I'm going to add maximum 1/4 teaspoon of salt because we've got some salt in our fritters, and then I'm just going to balance it out with some dill. Teaspoon. Get that nice dark green herb just all the way through. And then you're going to give this a good mix now, so we don't want to be eating this and just get a clump of garlic powder. Sarah, I wouldn't really add any other spices into this for it to be a tzatziki, so if anything I would omit the spices and I would keep it as yogurt and cucumber and maybe just lemon and salt and pepper. We want it to just have that sour, creamy, fresh taste. So the cucumber and the yogurt are definitely the key components of this. Everything else is an extra. So take it back to the basics if you need to. So don't put the garlic in, don't put the dill in if you don't have it. Put a bit of salt and pepper, lemon, cucumber. Don't put the celery if you don't have it. But that celery is going to bring a bit of an oniony taste, if that's the right way to say it. And then that super crunch. So let's have a look. Keep this in the fridge a good few days, if it lasts that long, because as I've mentioned before, I've got Jay, so nothing lasts long when I'll make it. Could I use sour cream, silken tofu? I'd try it with sour cream rather than silken tofu. I guess you could use silken tofu actually, but then you're going to want to add in the some flavour to that, so the soy taste isn't overpowering. Maybe you could soak some cashews, so we're going to get that creaminess and then the freshness from the cucumber. But yeah, definitely try it with sour cream. I don't know if that's going to be a bit too sour, but I guess try it. Experiment, have a go with what you've got. Don't go out buying things, have a go with what you've got. But then if this isn't the right recipe for what you've got, don't worry about it. So, let's have a look, let's have a look. Got 1 minute 52, let's give them the most they can have. Let me move these over here. And and then we're going to pull our fritters out. We'll use that space and then we'll plate them up. And then you can just eat them fresh out the oven. You can keep them in the fridge. If you're going to freeze them, cook them first. I haven't put them in the freezer, but I don't see why they won't last in the freezer. Just like with everything else, make sure that you defrost them properly and then heat them, cook them fully. So I'd pop them back in the oven after they're defrosted. Make sure you're cooking them right through. But apart from that, cook this recipe however you want it. Add whatever spices you want. Mix the flavours up. Pop this out. Serve them by themselves. Serve them in a salad. Serve them in a butter bowl. Add them into a burger. Use them for whatever you want. Again, depending on the flavours you put in there, it'd be really nice to make like a Cajun flavour. You could mix them up and make them a bit more Asian style and put them with something else. Obviously, you won't use this dip. I saw some of you were asking for more Chinese recipes, so maybe that's something we could explore. Sarah, I've just seen you using plain almond yogurt. Perfect. Perfect yogurt. Anything plain. And let's have a look. Let's pull these ones out and we'll pop the baked ones back. And you can see, I'll just pull this up here. You can see the baked ones. I don't know if you can see, they're starting to brown as well now. So let's pop these off. You guys be careful, I've got asbestos hands. I've got teeny tiny fritters here. Pop these back. Set the timer up again. Make sure I remember this time. So I obviously I wouldn't serve these on this big of a plate. But let me just show you. So they're not really firm. They're staying together, but there's some movement in there because it's nice and crispy on the outside and they're nice and soft on the inside. So sorry Colleen, do we need to flip the baked ones? Yes, so I flipped them all then when I took them out. I flipped them over, so especially I guess if you were doing them just onto the baking tray, as long as it's non-stick, they're going to bake on both sides. But if, like me, baking them onto greaseproof paper, that if you don't flip them over, that bottom one's going to stay moist. It's not going to firm up and crisp. Sarah will definitely share recipes for our Instant Pots. You'll make me get a bit more creative with it. So, big dollop of your dressing on top. And there you have it, guys. Nice, easy courgette corn fritters and tzatziki sauce. It's so yummy, this. So yummy. That was supposed to be a knife. So these aren't really, because the dip's so thick, I wouldn't necessarily dip into it and scoop. Perfect to go with pittas. These on a pitta with salad and the tzatziki would be beautiful. So good. So that's it today, guys. That is our corn fritters and tzatziki. You can find the recipe on the community group. So if you're new, or if you haven't joined the community group, please do. We will share all of our recipes on there, and then like I say every week, we've got an amazing community going on there, and everyone is sharing their even bakes and cooks that they're doing off their own back, sharing recipes. Some of you guys are doing the courses and you're sharing what you're making on there, and it is so lovely to see. It's so, so lovely, and I just cannot thank you enough for all of your engagement and everything that you're doing for the Vegan Chef School, because it's such a good movement and it's such a beautiful community to be a part of. And let's just keep spreading the kindness, and let's keep spreading the word of veganism, and just keep it going, guys. So, so happy to be a part of this. So as always, if you want to check any of my other recipes out, you can find me at pinchofkindness.com. So I've got a blog and Pinch of Kindness on Facebook and Instagram. I might be a little bit quiet at the moment on there, just with the move happening and everything that's just happening in the world right now. I'm just taking a bit of time to just reflect and share things that I think are going to help me progress as a person. So I will still share some recipes, I will still share some things with you guys, but if I'm being a bit quiet, please don't think that I'm not going to be on there. I will. I'm making recipes in the background, I'm getting a backlog of my blogs ready to release. So if you haven't already, join the community group. Please like my Pinch of Kindness page and spread the news, spread the Vegan Chef School, get the message out there, guys, and just have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week. We'll try and I'll have a think and we'll figure out something post our pre or post workout next week. Maybe we'll do protein bars, but we might think of something else. So that's what I'll work on this week, and I'll definitely do something for that next week. So thank you guys, have a fantastic week, and I will see you on Wednesday.